Welcome to the Strategic Project Leader, where we help you leverage strategic project management so you can achieve your goals. Now, here's your host, Fola Alabi.
Hello and welcome to the Strategic Project Leader, where we help you go further, faster in business and beyond. That's right. Go from an aspiring project manager or seasoned PM to C-suite. We are coming at you live from the Strategic Project Leader Studio in Alberta, Canada. I am your host, Fola Alabi of 𝗯𝗲𝗵𝗶-𝘁𝗵𝗲, your business and transformational leadership expert. I educate on how organizations and you as an aspiring project manager, seasoned leader, can actually leverage an entrepreneurial and strategic focus on project management. I call that project intelligence to help you drive ROI and outcomes for your business and even beyond that as well. You will learn how to chat a path to C-suites to gain the number one position of becoming the CEO, either in your organization or even as your own boss. It's going to be a great show tonight because we're going to be talking about how to land your dream project management role. The beauty about this is that you can also apply this across all the disciplines. I have a leader who is just not just one who just educates and coaches on this, but she's also selfless. She gives back to the community. She's all about helping young professionals, driven professionals, executives actually thrive and land the jobs that they want, as well as build those relationships as well. I love the fact that she's also being called the queen of networking. Join me as I welcome to the show today, Liz Capants. Liz, how are you doing today?
Good morning, Fola. I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
Fantastic. Great to be here as well. Let us just dive right in. When it comes to this whole job search and all that, I know you are the queen of this, being an executive coach and having helped thousands of people land their dream jobs. What exactly would you say is the first step an aspiring project manager needs to know to land that role?
Yeah, so the job market has been very volatile, as you know, this past year, Fola. The whole job search, we take a very comprehensive approach to applying online to jobs, but also as key is really building a good network to help refer you into jobs, into companies. That could be really key to getting in front of the right people. So branding yourself, of course, sharing what you know, your expertise is super important. Don't assume people know what you do. You have to vocalize that. You have to share it. Branding is really, really key. So it's taking all of those components and a very holistic approach to the job search.
Fantastic. First of all, for those who are actually watching us, I want to know in the comments where you're actually joining us from as well. You're going to get a chance to be spotlighted as well. And Liz could obviously share some personal tips and answer your specific questions. You've spoken about branding. That is key because a lot of the time people kind of feel that, listen, I'm not a business owner, right? Why should I have a brand, or what exactly does that mean? So as a professional who probably is already a manager and thinking about how they can actually get, to senior leadership, how can they leverage branding to help them land that dream role?
Yep. So it starts with just sharing your knowledge, really, and educating other people about what you do. Going back to what I said just previously, Fola, never assume people fully understand what you do. You have to share that knowledge, share that expertise. And when you educate other people in what you do, that's really branding right there. Sharing that knowledge, it creates the pathway to engage with others who might be looking for your expertise. They might be looking for those project management skills or skills in other areas. So when you share that and open it up through branding, it's going to get the attention of other people who might be looking for that. So
I think that's great. That's really great, because when it comes to like creating a brand for yourself, you need to think about what will other people remember when they hear that name Fola Alabi, when they hear about Liz, without a doubt, that she's all about helping you land the role and mentor you and coach you through all of that process, because she has built a brand around that. So my challenge as well to everyone who's actually listening is, what are you doing intentionally, like every single day, to brand yourself in a particular way? And the challenge I also have, Liz, is what about people who kind of feel that I want to land a project manager role, as well as I think I'm also great as maybe like a project director where I deal with just cost control. So how do I brand myself when I've got like multiple skill sets and I feel which one do I actually showcase?
Yes. Great question, because most people do have multiple skill sets and different facets. Maybe it's a hobby you have that could tie into a job, or it's just a passion project or a side hustle. So being clear with that brand and that messaging, but you can certainly angle it to include different aspects of your skills, and just making sure that message is concise and consistent with what you're saying. Because it is important to be focused, even though you may have multiple areas of strength that you want to highlight. But just to be consistent in your messaging, consistency is key, and clear and concise, whether it's maybe 2 or 3 skill sets that you want to include. So,
okay, so I think that's really good. So whatever it is you want to be branded as, even if you've got like a side hustle, you need to think about how can you bring it all together. How can, that idea, for instance, I spoke about like a cost controller or someone who does maybe supply chain, tie that back to your project management as a whole. So every time you share content, it is clear that you want to be seen as that specialist, maybe as that leader within that particular space. So that concise, that's great.
And consistency is key. I think sometimes people look at branding or how to share what they do. They want an immediate, quick result. It might take time to get that message out, especially if it's in multiple areas. That's okay. Give it time that it might need to create your brand. It's not an overnight, immediate. Sometimes it might be, but usually it does take time to build that traction.
I know I hear that a lot, where people say, gosh, that person was just an overnight success. But listen, that was probably years and a lot of time put in before people got to actually know that actual person. So I think patience is extremely important, right?
Yes.
Being consistent and showing up. So let's get into the details. So when it then comes to, you've tried to build a brand now, you've been sharing content, and now you're wondering what exactly going to be the next step, Liz? What can that executive who wants to step in, I think I've built a brand now around being a strategic leader. What will be the next step they can actually do to land their dream job?
Yeah. So as while you're building your brand and sharing your message and sharing your expertise, at the same time, you're building a network around that brand, leveraging previous clients, coworkers, friends that know you outside of your job. So you're building your network. You're also creating your resume as the foundation, applying for jobs through the portals that are out there. But you're doing all these pieces at once. And it's important, again, to have that consistency to keep doing that. Even when you find that job, it's important to keep that messaging going, because the way the workplace is today, it's really all about the gig economy, and the future of work will be more project-based, more freelance opportunities. So that is only going to continue to accelerate, in the next 10, 15 years. So it's always important to have your brand and your profile, your message, who you are. Even when you land that job, you need to continue as much as you can to share that knowledge and have that network. So you're always have that mindset.
I think that's a good one, where I call it as a journey. When it comes to your career, I call it a career project, and it's one that pretty much only ends probably when you die, even when you retire, right? You still want to keep doing things. So as a professional and as a leader, you want to think about your brand as something that's going to live with you throughout your lifetime. So what exactly do you always want to be remembered for? What exactly is it that people are going to be talking about when you're not even in the room? So I say your brand is actually what people talk about when you're not in spaces. And how are you intentionally creating that? And I want us to dive into a little bit of networking. I know that people say, yes, build relationships, network with people. And what will someone do, especially for people who are really introverted, who feel, I'm not really someone who wants to show up so much in social media. How do I really connect with great leaders as well? So what are the skills, you can actually share that people can leverage to build great networks?
Right. If they're not loving the networking, Fola, that's what you're saying. I know some people don't like it, but it is necessary. And my 2 cents on that is, set your own pace. Set your own pace, whatever you're comfortable with. There's so many different types of networks and specialties depending on your profession. So you just do a little bit of research and find really what resonates with you. There's no one right or wrong way to go about this. It really has to just work with you. And once you find that network or that group, it can be so powerful in working as your sales team and part of your branding, those people that can endorse you for other jobs or business opportunities. Really, that's the power of having a great network, is that, like you were saying earlier, Fola, how people recognize you when you're not in the room. When you have a strong network, it really acts as your sales team to help endorse you and to help connect you with those opportunities, whether it's business opportunity or a job opportunity. It's very powerful. But as always, just find what works for you and just set your own pace. It's not a race. There's no competition. Everybody is different. So whatever resonates with your style and your background, and then you'll go with that. So
I think that's definitely great. And, I remember coaching one of my mentees, and we were talking about a double pivot. That's what I call it, because she is someone who has never done project management professionally before, as well as she's never really worked in the tech space. So she wanted to move into tech, into project management. They were like 2 different moves, because she had actually just done stuff around like retail. And so what would be your advice? So how do you get people to do like the double pivot? Do they apply the same principles, or anything specific that they could obviously do? Because moving from one industry is one thing, right? Moving from one industry and also another discipline, they're like 2 different parts of it. So what strategies do you actually share that could help?
Yes, great question. So many people have pivoted really in the past couple of years, even more so. And some of the stats I've read over the years, Fola, they say on average, each person might have 4 careers, 3 or 4, sometimes even 5. So pivoting is definitely a possibility, but not always easy to do. But ultimately, if you're looking to pivot and you have a passion you want to go for, many different things. First, I would look at certification or classes in that new area that you're looking to pivot in. And there's a ton of resources online that require no investment or very little investment. So getting a certification in that area you're looking to move into, so you can add that to your resume if you haven't worked exactly in that area, would be one. Finding mentors and people in that area you're looking to move into, and engaging with them, talking to them for really informational interview purposes, which are really powerful. And so you get a good grasp of what they do, what the industry is. And also you can find out from them directly what it would take for you to make that transition. So mentors, whether they're formal or informal, really can be so key at any stage of a career, but especially as you're considering that pivot. And then engage with groups that are around where you're looking to move to, and join those networks so you can be around those that are in that area again. So I'd say those are the 3 kind of top things that come to mind that really can help. It's very, very possible. And I've seen people that have had sometimes 3 careers over sometimes the resume. So it's very doable. You just have to have a focus and start with some of those basics.
I think that's really critical, because when we talk about the foundational pieces, as you just mentioned, the mentorship, having a mentor is like absolutely key. It's kind of like gold dust, I call it, because this is going to be someone who can help you chart out a path and navigate places that they have already been through. And
Yes.
Liz just mentioned that. Liz just said, you're going to be asking questions like, what should I be looking out for? What are the strengths that I need to focus? What do I need to actually grow? So having mentors and ensuring that they can actually guide you so you don't actually make the mistakes that probably a lot of people are actually making. And having even coaches as well. There's so many experts. Like when it comes to like the networking and all those pieces, like Liz is one who's done this for decades. And so you have that resource to actually go to. And I tell people that it's all about helping you compress time. A lot of the time people feel that I think I can do that on my own, but it's probably going to take you 5 times or even 10 times the effort and the time to get it done. But having someone who's probably charted that path is going to, take you less time, meaning you can actually achieve your goals way actually closer as well. So that's really critical for us to think about. Another piece that I want us to tap into is within your organization. For people, especially who want to pivot into project management, I always share the fact that your current boss needs to be your greatest ally. Because in every organization, you will find that the discipline that you want already exists. The easiest way to kind of move is to at least try and say, okay, can I have this conversation with my manager to say, in the next 12 to 24 months, maybe my goal is to become a project director, or I want to become a PMO leader or PMO director. How do I get there? And sowing those seeds with certifications, as Liz actually mentioned, you get certification designations. That way, you're not going to an unfamiliar territory to say, hey, I want to, start something totally new. Leveraging your line manager, leveraging leaders in your current organization can actually help you navigate that. But when you want to push out and start afresh and say, I want to go to another company, it's like another layer of complexity, which is obviously possible you can actually do, but leveraging your line management is one that we definitely need to also look at as well. So let's get a little bit deeper, right? Yeah. People find it hard to have those uncomfortable conversations, especially with your managers. They say, oh my God, right? How can I get my manager to know that I want to leave this particular department and go somewhere else? And when it comes to those conversations, right, what would you advise? How would you, advise them to tackle those conversations?
Yeah, great question, Fola. So I would say, number one, having the confidence in that approach, which may or may not be an easy thing, probably not an easy thing to do, but having the confidence to, embrace those conversations. Most employers, people are always looking for growth. They're always looking for learnability. They're always looking to grow in their career. You reach a peak in your job, and that's why you really look externally if you don't see something internal within your organization. So number one, I would say having the confidence to approach the conversation, be confident in what you are going to say, practice and prepare, and engage with your current manager ways that you can upskill, reskill, to get to where you need to be. So it's, I think, a combination of all of that, Fola. Learnability, growth is going to only continue to be in demand, especially as Gen Z comes into the market. They want more of a rotation of different skills rather than having a linear path in one job. All the studies and research that we've done, so they're looking for ways that they can embrace different skill sets, right? Instead of taking more of a traditional career trajectory. So, confidence, being prepared, and engaging with your manager to help you to get to that next level, that next step, or that pivot.
I think that this is really, really important, especially when we are planning that next move and that promotion. And what I also say is, even when you're going into this, you need to do a self-assessment. You need to assess to understand, okay, what exactly am I even really great at? Because at times it may be great to say, yes, I want to move to that role. I want to land that dream job. But are you really prepared for that? What are skill sets, if you got, that are actually transferable? Because a lot of the time, especially within project management, people don't realize that there's so many things that you may have already done the roles, the clients that you can actually leverage. So the
Yes.
first step is, go off and do a self-assessment. It could just be a basic SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What opportunities are actually out there? And what exactly are the threats? When you have that picture, you can actually go off and say, okay, with this in mind, I can then test and say, the T's, what exactly does the market really need? Like Liz has spoken about what the industry wants. Without a doubt, being a T-shaped employee, one who's actually multifaceted with different skill set, who can actually do a bit of maybe analysis, project manage, who can deal with stakeholders, who can do some stuff around, financials as well, is absolutely critical. So that continuous learning it's key, but you need to be sure that you learn the right skills, right? Because at the end of it, you may just be off learning something that may not even be relevant. So
Exactly.
like understanding where the market is going, understanding what skill sets will be needed is absolutely key. So do you have like websites or resources that people can actually go off and check? And when it comes to tech, I saw your post like yesterday about the market and stuff. Are there any areas that they can actually go off and find information about where the industry is going?
Yeah, to do these self-assessments. There's plenty of assessment tools that are out there, Fola, that one can do as a first step. I think ultimately, if you have a passion and a direction that you want to go into, you're going to do the research, right, and go through some of the assessments to gain a better understanding of what that role might be, what that industry is, what the demands are. There are many tools that one can leverage and start with an assessment. Again, certifications to help prepare, getting your manager to help endorse your next move and help you, guide you to get there. Hopefully that, you get that buy-in to do that. So all of the above, it's
definitely great. So are there like any specific websites when it comes to understanding like industry trends? So for instance, when we talk about like the IT market, to understand, is the market going to be, I know when it comes to project management, like we had the PMI polls that came out talking about the need for project managers. It's like astronomical. So are there like any specific like websites that professionals can actually leverage to find out the trends within IT?
I mean, there are many. I'm just trying to think of ones that come to mind. There's even a lot just that are concentrated groups like through LinkedIn that you can find. A lot of those groups are very specialized. I'm part of several myself, be it marketing, advertising, human resources, human capital. So, I mean, LinkedIn is a really tremendous resource. And then there's some, of course, industry associations that in pharmaceutical, medical device, life sciences, that you can join. Some are membership-based, some are free. And part of their goal is to really, is to educate on what they do and what the industry trends are. So, there's plenty that are out there, Fola. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, without a doubt, leveraging, LinkedIn is a wonderful way for you to tap into great leaders. The fact is, the hiring managers you're looking for, they're actually all on LinkedIn as well. The people you want to connect with, they're actually there and they're obviously watching. But being within like smaller groups where you can actually ask questions is almost like a form of mentorship as well.
Yes.
Because people are actually there, you can ask questions. And the beauty about it is that people are just always willing to help. When you ask a question, with all genuity, people are there to say, yes, this is what you need to think about. This is where you need to go, and that's the direction as well. And doing that obviously takes you further. Now, taking it into another gear to another step is we have now created a brand. We have now networked. We've tried to like join groups and all that. And maybe the job isn't coming yet. What else can we throw in the mix, especially going to 2023? People have this new resolution to say in January, I want to have, create that move. What else can professionals do, to actually land that role?
Yeah. What great question. The jobs report came out for November yesterday, Fola, which I posted and shared. It's still overall a strong job market, although tech We've seen a lot of layoffs in the tech sector, especially some of the bigger firms, but other sectors are really still struggling to find workers for a variety of reasons that are out there. But to answer your question here, finding a job is a job in itself, unfortunately, and not a fun one by any stretch. It's, one has to approach it, and especially if you're pivoting to a whole different area, you really have to approach it as it's a sales process. It's selling yourself, which is not easy to do. It's branding yourself, again, not easy to do if you don't want to, share. I would just say that, you have to have a certain amount of patience. And when you put all these pieces into place, it does work out, and the job does come to you. There's no magic formula, but if you just are consistent in putting all these pieces in place that we've talked about, it does ultimately, the job does come your way, whether it's freelance, project-based, or a permanent role. So it's just being consistent, knowing and having patience, which is never easy because we all want the quick result here. Sometimes that does happen, but it's there's no magic formula, really. There's no, unfortunately, I wish there was, but there isn't. A lot of it is luck. You're at the right place at the right time. But to get to that place, you've put in the work. You've done the branding. You've done some of the networking. You've educated people about what you do. So then, timing, when you're in the right place and that job lead comes to you, you've prepared and you've gotten to that point. So.
Yeah, I know that that is actually key. And one piece that I always share with my clients as well is, I know you want to get a job. It's the process, but think about yourself as an investment. I always say that you are the greatest investment you can ever make. And the ROI is pretty much, infinite, because by the time you invest in yourself, look at this as a process of learning. You want to become a project leader. What exactly do I need to know? You need to identify that and say, what are the skills that I'm actually great at? What exactly do I need to improve? What does the market need? Because the secret is you need to outperform at the level that you obviously even want. So even as a project manager level, you need to be thinking about what's the next 2 levels ahead of me. And that way you're going to be showing up as that. So that way people are going to say, I think, yes, we need to give this particular person a chance. So investing in yourself, we spoke about certification. We've spoken about, how exactly you can show up as a brand that talks about that particular topic. I know there's a question that actually talks about tips and self-branding. So I'm going to touch on that. I know Liz spoke about that as well earlier. So when it comes to the role that you want, is you want to become, a project director. How are you talking about? You're talking about information around strategy, about how organizations could actually impact their ROI when it comes to projects. Are you talking about, how we can plan better? Are you talking about all of this information, showing up as that and sharing content? And also even supporting other people in the industry who do exactly that. Sharing thoughtful comments, when people share information on like LinkedIn and other job boards, creating articles, and short form content that could also help other people as well. Because I see it more as the more you give, you're actually going to receive. You're going to take time as you are reading, as you are preparing for that job that you want. You can also share your experience, your journey through that process.
Yes,
and that way, someone will definitely learn something and say, goodness, I never knew that was a thing. I never knew that you had to think about this differently. But as long as you do that, you're going to be, gathering followers and gathering support as you go. And then you will definitely, be in a position not just to even get a job, but also provide jobs as well in doing that. So, thank you so much, Baby Doll. I hope I answered that question. If you also watch this on the replay, we touched about that. And in the show notes, we're going to be talking about all the specific steps that you can actually take in building an actual brand.
Great question. I just want to add one thing, Fola. Just what you said was so key. Just give to receive. So you give your knowledge. If you're looking to make that pivot or take that step up, take on work or take on assignments that you can get that experience. Maybe it's even maybe an unpaid project or something, just to get your feet wet and to get some of that experience, right? So the more that you can volunteer and try to get to gain that knowledge, the better, through networking and through giving first, and through that networking, give to receive. Exactly what you said. Super powerful.
Yeah, I know, because a lot of the time we obviously come into the mix kind of like with our hands open to just, I want to take.
Yes.
So just having the mindset of, I'm just here to share and give my 2 cents of what I have. And the pieces that is going to help someone else. And people are definitely watching. And I remember just talking to someone who said, I want to try and share content. And she started sharing content online. But she's like, well, no one is actually really engaging with my content. I'm like, the fact that people are not even liking it doesn't mean they're not reading it. So you need to go in with the mindset of, I want to give. I want to just offer. I say, if one person benefits from that, you have done a great job.
Yes.
And it takes time to get there. And so once you have that mindset to say, I am going to show up, I'm going to share, I'm going to give, it just opens up more opportunities beyond your wildest dreams and, and imaginations, for sure. Yeah. You want to
exactly. And don't get caught up in the sort of vanity piece around that. Just find your tribe, or find those that are interested in what you are doing and what you're sharing and educating people about. It may not be everyone, but nobody cares. Some people get caught up in some of the vanity metrics and engagement. It doesn't matter at all. Just, again, kind of setting your own pace, finding those that are interested or in your area of what you do, which is of course not going to be everyone, right? So you find and attract those people that are in the same area, in the same field as you, and that's great. But don't worry about this engagement or that. It'll come, it'll build. Just be authentic, and it will grow. So.
And I think another thing as well, which is great that people need to think about, is just even the power of a personal story. A lot of the time people might say, I'm not an expert in this particular field, so who am I to go write content and maybe on projects and project delivery? But you can obviously take your own personal side to it, and and share your experience, probably your personal, your journey, and people will definitely connect with that. And so it's a case of, maybe I'm trying to get a designation in my project management, for instance. Maybe I've searched on these books. You've tried to read XYZ, and this is kind of what I've actually learned so far. Can you share your thoughts? So just come in as authentic and as vulnerable as possible to say, this is kind of where I'm at.
Yes, exactly.
Where I want to get to as well.
Yeah.
Establishing that, and just keep learning as you go. Another piece that I think is really, really great, I know we started on that, about just being consistent
and authentic. To your point just now, showing that vulnerability, or showing your track record. Nobody has a direct or a straight path. We always have detours or things that didn't work out in career, in life. That's okay. Just be your authentic self, show your vulnerability, and people will resonate with that, because they've most likely experienced something similar. So people want to see, the real you, and that ties back into your branding, really, and who you are, being authentic, being consistent.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
One piece that, as project managers, we talk about this and we teach about it. We talk about lessons learned. Every single time, you want to know how you're doing, you need to ask for feedback.
Yeah.
When you're going into this journey, just being open to say, look, I have a mentor, I'm trying to do this. Get feedback. That's the only way you can actually get better.
Yes.
So I want to challenge you, especially for those people who are just trying to start and trying to launch, to say, as you go into this journey, if it comes to work already with the current job you're already doing, when it comes to, networking and creating content and showing up online, or even just doing things, in the workplace or at home, are you open to feedback? Are you someone who actually says, I want to know how I'm doing. These are my lessons. What exactly could I have done differently? How can I actually be better? Incorporating that into the process, I see, is absolutely critical.
Yes.
And it's one that we actually need to leverage every single day.
Yes, great point, Fola. Yes.
That sound just means that it's time for Project Lifestyle. We want to talk about now how we can apply this in our personal life. I know today we've been talking about how to land your dream job, how to create that life you actually crave. That's right. And you're thinking about, how can we apply this even in our personal life? We spoke about a personal brand. We can actually brand yourself. you can get mentors, you can actually get support and get lessons. But again, I want to just share this. And when I think about getting that piece or achieving that life goal as well, what can we really do? I think for me, the first piece is just ensuring that you stay focused within that particular time and make peace with your past. And what do I mean by that? Especially when you're even trying to land a job, you would already have probably baggage or pain maybe from a last role or for a last experience you already had. But how exactly are you showing up every single day, not carrying the baggage from a previous employer or a previous spouse or a previous relationship? When you're coming in to create that life that you crave or landing the job that you want, you need to be open to say, I want to let go. I want to start afresh. I want to create a space where I can, be seen and be heard. But you don't want to come in being kind of toxic at all. You want to show up within the space where you are open to learn. You are one that you've moved on from whatever it is, and you want to become the best person that can actually either even do the job or be the best person in your relationship. I remember seeing a comment from one of the gentlemen here on screen. He said, you want to be loyal to yourself, but reliable and committed to your employer. The same thing that comes for you as we go into 2023. How open are you to just lay the past behind and just say, I want to take this on. I want to just be better. And I want to just show up in creating a fresh start. Number two, I want you to think about is, how much time are you putting together to manage everything that you obviously have going on? Time management is key, because once you say, I want to achieve something, you're going to set that particular goal, but you need to create time to actually do it. How are you managing your time? How are you ensuring that you are focusing on the big rocks, the ones that's definitely going to affect you, your family, it's going to affect, your career and your business? Time management, take time to not just do the work, but also take out time, to create those meaningful relationships that will help you create the outcome that you actually want. I want you to focus on controlling your thoughts. I want you to be more positive, because everything that you want to achieve takes a lot of time and takes a lot of effort. But you've got this. You can actually do it. But the mindset is absolutely critical to create that and create a healthy relationship. You need to be focused and centered on the right thoughts. You need to also ensure that it's clear as to what you're going to be doing and how you're going to achieve it. Get support, get mentors, get people who can actually help you walk that path and make it way easier for you to achieve that. Liz, how can we apply this as well to our personal life? What do you think?
Yes, I like your first comment about leaving the previous situation, not taking that baggage. That really ties into, Fola, being resilient. And we have to be resilient. We have to have what's called grit in jobs. As a business owner, you have to be able to just let that go and not let maybe some of those things really take that forward into the next opportunity. So resilience and grit and just moving on so that you can embrace that next that next step. And then I love how you added time management. Time management is so key. We'll jump into networking for a second on time management. Be so mindful of your time, because networking can be great conversations that ultimately end up nowhere. So when you're doing this networking and you're having a very focused approach, especially pivoting to a new industry or just finding a new job in your current area that you're in, is keeping your time for each meeting to 30 minutes max. No more than 30 minutes for each meeting, and going in with a clear objective, whether it's an informational interview for networking, but just being very mindful of your time, and so that the person you're speaking with knows exactly, the purpose. You don't want to waste anyone's time. So being mindful, that time management is so key, Fola, as you mentioned. And then having really the resilience and grit to just let and leave your past behind, whatever happened, and move on. And just we all deal with crazy things that happen in life and in business all the time, and just move on and not let it bring you down in any way. Easy for me to say. I know that's not always easy to do, but But it just kind of goes back to just having the resilience and the strength to not let those things bother you.
No, I think that's absolutely critical, because we live in a world where life and everything is 100% perfect. And so everyone has got different experience that they've actually experienced through the course of their careers and through the course of their life. And we all have to be intentional about the life we want to create for ourselves, be it in the workplace, be it at home. And so ensuring that you become the change you want the world to see.
Yes.
So when it comes to, how you show up at work, how you deal with people, how you communicate, how you network, how you build relationships, you always want to be the one that people are going to raise your hands up and say, yes, I really want to work with this particular person because they're focused. They're one who obviously adds the positive mix to the table. And make sure you're the one who takes away the toxicity, because it's easy to say and point fingers and say that person isn't great. But how do you show up every day? You need to be intentional. You need to be one who's going to say, yes, it doesn't matter what's going on, but I'm going to infuse laughter. I'm going to bring joy. I'm going to make sure the workplace is fun, because people might say it's just a job. I don't want to be, I don't want to make anyone my friend. I'm like, you're just going to make it so horrible for yourself, right?
Right, exactly.
So if you build relationships and people are excited to be around you, you're going to enjoy the 8 or 10 hours you're going to spend in the workplace. And that now sips into our personal life, because when work is great, you can come home and become your best self. And because when work is bad and toxic, you're just going to come home and then it's like, everyone is just, you're just mad and all that, because it obviously translates and filters into all the parts of our life. We have to be intentional as we go into, as we go into
your earlier point, Fola, about when you go into job search, pivot, looking for business, you go into that with not taking, not what's in it for me, but what are you bringing? What can you bring to that conversation? What can you bring to that meeting? What can you bring to that situation? It's what you can bring, not what you can get, although you have to set boundaries so you do get something, right? But going into it with bringing and giving to that conversation, to that situation, no matter how small, or insignificant, bring something and share, rather than thinking, okay, what's in it for me, right? And it ties into what we were saying earlier about giving first through networking. That's going to open up, conversations, people that will get to know you, So bring something. Always go into with what can you bring? What information, what advice can you bring? Or maybe it's friendship. What friendship can you gain from this person? And it's so powerful when you do that, and you do give first, So
definitely. It's you hit the nail on the head. It's all about, I say, you need to create the change you want. You need to be that change. You need to experience it. You need to create that for others as well, so that people can also talk about that over and over and over again. Liz, thank you so much for being here. I want to say thank you for coming to share your wealth of experience. We can go on for this, your expertise, I know. But we have pretty much comes to the end of the show, but I want to say thank you. However, how can people find you?
Yep. So my website, contact information is all 𝗶𝐶associates.net. I am on LinkedIn pretty frequently, a little bit maybe obsessed, I'll admit it, but I am on LinkedIn. So my contact info is there, Fola. And either way, I can be found either way. So,
fantastic. Yeah. That's great. 𝗶𝐶 Associates, and all of this are going to be in the show notes as well. So definitely join us and actually share. We're going to have all of that there with you so we can actually do it. I want to say thank you once again. I cannot even thank you enough. This was obviously a long time coming. We definitely need to have you back. And for everyone actually listening, I trust you found value from today's experience. So do not keep it to yourself. Tell a friend. We spoke about sharing. Share with a colleague. But let us know in the comments one key takeaway that you will be applying in your career, in your business, and even in your life. And you get a chance to be featured on one of our episodes. The key is, if you have any questions as well, you want to learn more about strategic project leader training, mentorship, or professional keynotes and workshops, let us continue the conversation over on strategicprojectleader.com. Thank you so much for listening. I always say this. I want you to remember that you are your life's project manager, and you are the most important project you will ever work on. Take action today. Execute right. Be focused, because the life you crave is just one project away. Set a reminder for the next episode next week, same time, on Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube, for an interesting episode where you're going to be learning how you can better improve and create the life you absolutely crave. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.